في أكبر الكتب.
Congratulations, you have found the Lambcast, the official podcast of the large association of movie blogs, also known as the Lamb. The Lamb is the largest collective of online movie blogs and podcasts with 2,000 members and counting. Every week on the Lambcast, various members of the Lamb community get together to talk about our favorite subject, movies. So bookmark the Lamb and follow us on social media. Be sure to join us each week to hear a lively discussion of films and movie-related talk from our members. Join the flock at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lambcast. This is episode 791, and I'm your host, Richard Kirkham. This week, we have a science fiction action sequel in a series that started way back in 1987 and has appeared sporadically ever since. Predator Badlands is either the sixth or seventh film in the direct franchise, but you could potentially add two more films because there's been some crossover films with another franchise as well. We learn a little bit more about the predator species. They come from a world called Yautja Prime, and they have a clan-based culture. And like the Spartans of old, they discard their young that they feel are unsuitable to the tribe. Badlands explores the journey of a Yautja youth struggling to show his worth, who's been transported to the harshest planet in the galaxy to test himself by trying to conquer an apex predator. Speaking of apex predators, we brought a couple of our own apex predators along to see if they can corral this movie. First up is Aaron Neuwirth. Now, he's been hunting movies for years, and regardless of whether they were good or bad, he likes to hold their spines up against the sky and admire his handiwork. Welcome, Aaron.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Also joining us is Jeannette Ward. She is not a synthetic person, although I have no proof of that. It's just my assumption that AI has not advanced far enough to give us someone as delightful as her with just a few algorithms.
That's amazing. Thank you. I ain't got time to bleed.
Got time to duck?
So we're going to either be doing no bleeding or a lot of bleeding. It could go either way on this show. Look, so there have been several previous films that will probably get mentioned. There are parallel movies from the director, and there's a potential sequel down the road. But for today, we're going to treat this as the creators intended, as a standalone story in the Predator universe. We'll start with our general thoughts and stay spoiler-free for at least the first 20 or 30 minutes. And then once we reach a boiling point where it feels like we can't go on, we'll put up the spoiler wall, warn anybody who hasn't seen the film yet, and then dive into all those secrets that would reveal something that might ruin it for somebody if they knew ahead of time, although I don't think that's really likely. So we're going to start with Jeannette. Jeannette, how did you feel about Predator Badlands?
I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was big. I thought it had more humor than I was expecting, and it was sprinkled in justifiably. It wasn't forced. I thought the action was great. I thought the look of it, both production design, VFX, everything, I thought it looked gorgeous. And I'm not sure I was expecting that. I'm not sure why I wasn't expecting that, but I thought it looked amazing. It's another movie. It's another movie that is probably sanctioned by the New Zealand Board of Tourism. There's a lot of, as all movies shot in New Zealand have, long walking scenes in lush New Zealand landscapes, where I was like, oh, wow, yeah, maybe I should go down there and visit that place. It's amazing. But yeah, overall, I think I went in with relatively high expectations. I think I expected to like it. I love most of this franchise. Almost everything in it. We can talk more about that as we go on. From the very first movie, I think I was introduced to the original Predator very young, probably younger than I should have been. My dad loves the original Predator, and I don't know whose sense of humor it was, but living in Wisconsin, hunting season is fairly large around here, and for some reason, someone on the local channel would always play Predator the day hunting season started, the original, as if to provide just a subtle warning of like, hey, y'all, when you go out there, what if you weren't the ones on top? And I I think that movie is baked into my brain as a really, really delightful. And I've gone back and watched it hundreds of times, and I really enjoy it. I like Predator 2. I think it's great. I love that Danny
Correct.
Glover was too old for that shit the whole way through and still managed to be excellent. I love AVP. Unpopular opinion. I love AVP. I enjoyed AVPR. Is it as good? Probably not, but I still liked it. I really enjoyed Predators, the Topher Grace one. We'll just go ahead and give him the credit for it.
The Topher Grace one, that's what we're calling it.
The Topher Grace one. One of the best uses of Mahershala Ali, some really great use of Danny Trejo. There's a lot in that movie that's really fun. There's been another one we won't talk about. And then the recent Dan Trachtenberg entry of Killer versus Killer of Killers, I thought was great. And Prey, which really snuck up on me because I was expecting nothing from that movie, and boy, was it great. I think that's everything in. So yeah, this, loved it. It had a couple of, Richard, your synopsis of young Yautja goes off, tries to battle apex predator to prove his worth. Great, that's the summary. And then I wasn't expecting any twists and turns, and I'm not saying they're super twisty, but there were at least a couple of moments where I was surprised because something happened I wasn't expecting, and I think that's a delight. So really, you can't expect more than that from a movie. I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I'm glad that there are a couple of surprises that we'll get a chance to talk about later. I think that one or two of them jump out at me, but maybe they're not the same as the ones that you were delighted by, so we'll find out in a few minutes. But we want to give Aaron a chance to voice his thoughts on the film as well. So, Aaron, your turn. General thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, to back up in the way that Jeanette just did, I'm a huge Predator fan as well. I grew up on the first Predator. It's one of my favorite movies, just period, and one of my favorite Arnold movies, let alone just sci-fi action spectacles. I think it's just awesome in a variety of ways that I don't need to get into because we're not talking about for the first Predator, but the whole series in general, I'm a fan of. I like Predator 2 a lot. Um, I can appreciate the first AVP quite a bit. I think it's a fun watch. AVPR, I mean, if they turn the lights on, it might be more enjoyable, but you know.
That right there. That
Um,
right there.
the fact that Shane Black couldn't deliver a strong Predator movie was really disappointing. I
Yes.
think there's like 40 minutes of a good movie within the 2 hours of time that it spends on it. Um, but then Prey came along, and I was super, super happy that Prey delivered as well as it did. It wasn't surprising to me because Dan Trachtenberg is a filmmaker I rely on. I think he's very talented. 10 Cloverfield Lane was quite strong as well, and mild things, but I'm not gonna say I'm super best friends with Dan, but I know Dan. Dan and I used to like hang out in Comic-Con lines together. So like it's really great just to see him succeed in the way that he has. Like it's so much fun. I ran into him a couple weeks ago. He was finishing sound on this movie and he looked tired. But like seeing this, as we're gonna talk about in a second, it was worth it. But yeah, Prey, I think, was such a great sort of relaunch of the series. Like after seeing a certain version of Predator for a bit, like this is just like a different direction to take it. And I think it really worked out. Obviously, really worked out well given the success that it had. And then Killer for Killers was just like this nice surprise as far as oh, there's an animated version and it rocks. It's just like all action, all great. So now we're at Predator Badlands, and once again, Dan Trachtenberg has delivered the goods here. I think going like literally right before it started, they played the Avatar trailer, and I think it's always a bold proposition to have a sci-fi movie preceded by an Avatar trailer because, like, well, is it gonna can it match the 2 minutes of this that I really really enjoy? Because it's like that's a lot of ask. And this movie, Predator Badlands, like it's one thing to talk about the action and the use of the Yautja and all the things involved as far as the lore and the Predator things that we're aware of go. But something I just really really admire about Badlands, it's really creative. It's a really wildly creative movie that I did, not only I necessarily didn't expect, but I was very thrilled to embrace that as much as I did. It has beyond the stuff that we're like familiar with, whether it's predators or Wayland Yutani synths, the fact that it's on this planet that's designed to kill you, I loved. And I loved all the different ways it tried to like reveal how it would kill you, whether it's bugs that are bombs or buffaloes that have their heads that open up, like just non-crazy nonsense all over the place. It was such a thrill to like learn about this world that this predator's on, where it's like he's trying to find this one thing that's unkillable, but the damn planet's trying to kill him every step of the way. Like it's just that's super fun. on top of that, yeah, there's a really cool story here. I like this story that we went with, where you, for one thing, we're following a predator. That's fun. And then seeing him learning about like who this predator is, who this Yautja is to the rest of his family and his people. That's an interesting dynamic that creates. I I'm trying to like because we're gonna get into we'll be more detailed in spoilers, I suppose, but like the way his journey progresses, how he meets up with Elle Fanning's character, what that journey means to both of them, where it goes from there, like all these pieces add up in a way that I think is very competent and very thought out. This movie is pretty lean, and there's not a lot of time wasted here, unless it's contributing to either the action or just honestly character. And like, I think Elle Fanning deserves a lot of praise. Like, she's doing really good work here. A lot of praise needs to very much easily go to Demetrius Schuster Kalamantaji because he plays Deck, and he is I it is not easy to do that, to like emote as this thing that doesn't have like a mouth or like a traditional human mouth, and the fact that he's able to convey a lot of emotion and
This
really
this
get
dude's
across
eyebrow acting.
there's a
Top
lot
That's
of
it.
there's a
That's it.
lot of
Top
physical performance
notch.
that it can't just be the prosthetics. He has to do that himself, along with obviously like the physical work as you know with his body. But a lot of praise should be going to him as well because
Yeah.
that's not an easy thing to do, and he makes a full flesh and blood character out of this performance.
Yes.
So yeah, all this stuff works out really well. It adds up. It's great. I had a great time with this movie. It's super fun. Yeah.
You mentioned the Avatar trailer playing in front of this. As I was watching it, I thought, well, in the universe of Pandora, Gemma is like Australia. Everything there wants to kill you. And so I guess they could be in the same universe. They're just different planets with different perspectives. Both very beautiful, but one is just lethal as all hell. And I thought they did a great job creating that environment. You did it. You mentioned that we have a predator named Dak, and that's the first predator name that I've heard that I know
Mhm.
of. I'm not sure there's been one before. I can't remember. Now
There's usually like nicknames or stuff, but never like
yeah,
a full on like this is my name. Yeah,
yeah, I've
Yeah.
got to admit, I did not see the second Alien versus Predator. I
you're
saw the
fine.
first one only one time, and that felt a little bit like too much when I
To be
saw it.
fair, those of us who saw AVPR still had a hard time seeing it. It is dark.
And
Not thematically, just there's
hard
no
to
light
see.
in it.
It's
Yeah.
thematically dark too. There's a whole baby section in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's thematically dark as well. But it was yes, yes.
And then the animated thing, I didn't even realize it was animated. I'd heard there was something coming out, and I said, "Well, where is it? Why is it not in theaters?" And then I realized, oh, it's a streaming movie. I should probably watch that. And then I checked into it. I said, "Oh, it's animated. Well, I can probably wait on that." And now I feel like I sh shot myself in the foot by waiting because it sounds like it's quite wonderful.
It's real. It's
It's
really, really solid.
beautifully done.
Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, I have that in front of me. Did they have predator names in that?
No,
No,
because
because
it's
again, the predators were not the protagonists,
They're
right?
not the
This is the
protagonists.
yeah.
first
Okay.
movie where we actually get a Yautja. First of all, that we actually dig into what they're called, their planet, their species, their culture, their family units, and then. But this is the only movie in the entire, and this since 1987. This one's a protagonist. Like they have been so to the forefront of everyone's mind of like this incredible predator and they're unbeatable and but they in reality haven't won any of their movies. I mean, they take out a lot of folks, but
Yeah.
there's usually a human
In,
hero that
in
eliminates them by the end.
AVP, they stop the alien queen from
That's
invading
true.
Earth.
That's true.
He teams up with Sana Latham. They make a beautiful couple together. It's awesome.
I love that. I really do. That movie makes me so happy. I know I'm in the minority, but God, I love that movie. Anyway.
Sounds like I got to revisit in my future.
It's
No, I'm
I
I'm in the
give that movie
minority.
like for because I like a lot of Paul W.S. Anderson movies as far as
Yes.
his set design, like because he's a production designer. That's his background.
Yes.
I think it's a really interesting looking movie as far as if you're gonna take the already ridiculous premise of AVP, which we should remember
Yep.
is a ridiculous premise. Like the idea of walking in and thinking this better be art or I hate it. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, so like what? Like the idea that they took both things and like made something as competent as it was, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And you don't get a lot of black women leading sci-fi movies like that. So that's another like that's a choice that I really appreciate all the times.
And shoot, we've seen the Predator in some of other Predator movies, and honestly, not in the first one, but like the Danny Glover bit where the Yautja come down and acknowledge, like, hey, man, you might be too old for this shit, but boy, you really stood up to this guy. Here, you can have this pistol that we've been hanging on to for an indefinite amount of time. It, so we've seen them acknowledge,
Which Killer of Killers, I believe, is references, by the way,
yes,
Richard.
brought it back in, which I loved,
the
and then,
pistol at the end of
but
Predator.
also Prey also referenced that, like that pistol.
Prey does. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Sanaa Lathan's the only one who we've seen actively incorporated into pieces of their culture. So that movie does. I mean, there are moments, and the design of the Alien Queen, which we had seen, but I think is done really, really well in that one.
Now, I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but do you suspect that that is what's happening at the end of the movie that we just saw?
Do you think Alien will come back into this franchise? Is that what you're asking? Like if they'll blend them again?
Well, something like that. You know,
I
if
hope
we've
not
got
yet.
if we've
I
got Queens
would
coming.
like to see a little bit of distance. I've always wanted and the idea, and I think it came right out of Predator 2, right? The seeing the xenomorph skull in the Predator ship spawned this entire sub-franchise, which is comics and games and all that. And there's so much lore there that you can dig into that I'm not even going to pretend that I know all of it. But they're two franchises that fit well together, sort of. And it makes sense that the greatest hunters in the universe would go after one of the greatest prey in the universe. And I think it makes sense to have predators going after these xenomorph aliens. But I would like a little more distance to really, really strengthen both franchises. I think they've really built strong foundations. This movie, Killer of Killers, Prey, I think have really reinvigorated the Predator franchise. Alien Earth did a great job of like bringing the full out scary back to the xenomorphs and flushing out that universe. So I don't want anyone involved with these. And it seems like, I forget the guy who did Alien Earth, but Trachtenberg and that dude, Noah
Hawley.
Thank you. It seems like they both understand the assignment and they're not going to suddenly rush to throw these together, that they're both building very strong foundations and building their own directions. And when it is appropriate to establish some sort of crossover, they will. So that's what I would like. I'd like to see them come back together. I would like it to not be rushed.
I entirely agree with what Jeanette's saying. What I like about the Predator series and the Alien series right now is that they're kind of slow playing it. Like they're not DC after Marvel finds the success and it's like, okay, well, we're gonna do a universe also, and it's gonna have this and that, and we're gonna introduce them via Flash videos on Lex Luthor's computer for some reason, just nonsense that movie. But I like that the idea that these universes are connected, but only because like they are, not because they need to be or that we're
Right.
forcing one into the other. It's just like, yeah, Weyland-Yutani, that's a company, and that happens to be involved in Predator. Like, do we need to explicitly see anything more about that? No, we're just saying, hey, yeah,
It's
they
in the
exist in each.
background. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
the.
there.
It's not
Yeah,
the spine of the story. It's just
Yeah.
something that mildly
yeah.
connects them. It's a little connective tissue, like ligaments holding things together, but it's not really the point of the
Yeah.
story. It
I
have
don't need synths to be like, oh yeah, we're good. We're headed to LV 246 next time or whatever the hell after
Yeah,
this.
no,
Like
I don't need it. And I think it was done so well. I think I had some trepidation about that going into this movie of like, oh, do we really need like Weyland-Yutani forced in and synth-fins? Do we need all that? I think the way it was done is logical, made sense, understandable from what we know of Weyland-Yutani. Of course, that's all they do. They go out there and collect dangerous things. That's their
it fe
whole deal.
it feels
So,
very much like the way Dan Trachtenberg is using IP and he and his co-writer Patrick Azon, they worked on all of these together, I believe. The way they're using the IP feels like if there are mandates, they're incorporating them in the way that they want to, in a way that like opens doors without having them betray what they're trying to do. Where
yeah,
this movie, it's a Predator movie through and through. It's all about Predator, but
yep,
it works as a survival adventure movie.
yes,
Obviously, if you took that out, it would be, I would say, less interesting, but it would certainly there'd be something different there. Just be like, oh, there's this guy that has cool weapons. All right.
yep,
But like the fact that it's a Predator movie and you can say like there's robots. Well, what are the robots? Well, there's synths. Okay, Weyland-Yutani makes sense. Cool. We can do that. We don't need, but we're not forcing it down your throat. It's more of we have a lot of options that Disney and 20th century allow us to have. Therefore, we can throw them in here, but we don't need to like get rid of the stuff that we're trying to do thematically or what have you. We're making our own
that's
movie.
exactly what I was going to say. I think the standalone movies allow them and actually require them to be a little bit more creative in their storytelling
yes,
and not be handcuffed by what's happened in some other film that they didn't have much part in, or even if they did have a part in it, that they don't feel obligated to follow up on every little uh, path that they had laid down. There's nothing wrong with having the connections, but I'm introducing a completely different kind of franchise here for comparison. I was not a huge fan of the James Bond films that all started telling sequential stories. I preferred the standalone kinds of stories so that I was starting fresh every time and got to enjoy just what we're doing right now instead of having to think about it in the context of the previous two movies or three movies or whatever was going on. And I think that that's what made this film very enjoyable for me. Not only is that we get the change in who the antagonists and protagonists are, but we also have a story that is self-contained. Even though there are references to other things that have happened in the universe, it is a very
Yeah.
self-contained kind of story. And that means that we're paying attention to these characters, what they're doing in this particular scenario, and we're not worrying about all the other things that might come up because we are concerned about, following the other path.
The trick
I
with anyone making a movie in something that is long-standing IP, right? And it's happening more and more because we're coming to a point where there's a lot of long-standing IP and there's a lot of fans of that IP who are now in the position of like, I'm going to make a movie in this IP. And I think it works the best when it's not just someone who's a fan, it's someone who has a deep understanding of it and can treat it with appreciation and not just like, I love it, let's throw it all in. J.J. Abrams. I think that it really matters if you have someone who has a deep understanding of it, how it works together, and that you don't have to force any of it because
Ryan
movies.
Johnson.
Exactly. New movies in long-standing IP work the best. Exactly what we've all just said. If you can watch it as a standalone, but if you have previous knowledge, it just deepens the appreciation for you. It's
I'd
tricky.
argue if you're going to go back to this Bond point, you can do that with the Craig Bonds. The only issue is I wish they were all consistently good, and two
Yeah.
of them weren't.
Well,
That two of them didn't have big fall offs. Like,
I wish that they had, again, it felt like it was made of fans, but not people with appreciation. I wish they had a sense of fun. I felt like the Craig Bond was missing the sense of fun that was so intrinsic to the
all of
other
them.
versions. Most of them.
Okay.
they were pretty grim, I think that they got a little bit of humor in Spectre, and the last one was all about making it full circle with Daniel Craig as the lead. I didn't
I don't
mean to get
disagree
off
about.
onto a Bond discussion here.
I don't
Oh,
disagree
sorry.
with the
Yeah.
middle one. I don't disagree with the middle ones. Casino Royale is fun. That is a fun movie through and through.
It's a fun movie, but Bond doesn't. Well, he has a little bit of fun at the table. I like that.
There's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot that bit where I'm sorry. This will be the last thing I say about Bud. I swear. The bit
I'm
where
sorry.
he has that whole chase in the airport, and there's a bomb, and all this stuff's happening, and you see the little bomb, and it's hanging on a keychain, and you think it's on the thing, and it's gonna blow up, and everything's gonna be bad. Instead, it's on the bad guy, and he blows up, and Bond gives a smirk. That's the best thing
That
Craig has ever
that, that
done
was a
in that
good one.
character.
That was a good one.
I'm done with Bond. What do you think of Predator Badlands, Richard?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Richard, what did you think of the movie?
I thought the movie was very entertaining and I enjoyed it immensely. I think it looks pretty spectacular, and like I said, I like the environment that they created there. Um, there are always things, if you think too hard about it, you begin to wonder, well, wait a second, how can that possibly be? That doesn't make much sense. But I don't want to think that hard about it. I want to enjoy what I'm seeing. Uh, I was interested in the clan culture that they start off the movie with because
Hmm.
it really seems to set up the justification for why Deck is on this other planet and uh, why he has to prove himself so much in the worst circumstances that are there. Like I said, I don't want to give away too much, but he wants to be there. Others didn't want him to be there, but he ends up there anyway, and it's just let's just say, as I said in the introduction, if he had been born in Sparta, he probably wouldn't have gotten to the age that he was
Yeah.
at.
Which, by the way, we find out in the cold open. This movie has a cold open.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lengthy one.
Yes.
The title takes a bit to come up, and then it pops in. And it doesn't like 70s style where there's like all the writing on the thing. It's like it's fun. It's like that's it's fun.
What did you get? We've already talked about it a little bit. Gemma or Gemma, the planet that they go to where all of the horrible things are and all of the beauty is. Uh, I just was interested in the way, like you said, it's a survival picture, and it's like having Leonardo DiCaprio out in the woods trying to avoid being eaten by the bear so he can get back and do his revenge thing. You got to take advantage of what's in front of you, and
Hmm.
I appreciated that when they showed us those things as part of him having to explore the planet, and you know that they're all going to come back into the story somewhere.
Yes.
The razor glass and the exploding pustules and the little needles off of the plant.
Acid salamanders.
Yeah,
I
yeah, there you go.
before we get there though, I do just very quickly about the cold open. I love a movie that wastes nothing, a tight movie that wastes nothing, and this is a tight movie that wastes nothing. And and it's tough in a sequence where you you don't understand the language, and yeah, it's subtitled, but even without the subtitles, the way it's executed, the cold open, Deck going off, having a fight with his brother, and then encountering their father. That entire sequence, even if it wasn't subtitled, is so beautifully executed. You can understand exactly what's happening. I thought that was so good. It really establishes Deck's entire personality of like, I'm the runt. They want to kill me. I have to prove myself. I don't have a choice. If I don't prove myself as strong enough to exist, they are going to kill me. To the point where we lose his brother, which was a shock to me. I don't think I was expecting that. And it really adds a level of need to Deck's quest that I really appreciated. And for them, you want I think it's tough. You have to remember, like, this is not us. While he is our protagonist, we can't put our values on him. Like, how is he surviving? Isn't he sad? His brother is. No, that's not how they live. He has to go down here and he has to go on with his entire quest. Once they get to Gemma, every single thing, like we've said, everything on the planet wants to kill him. And it's so, because you're going to end up with, and again, credit to Trachtenberg, next time you see him there, tell him.
Yeah.
When you know the audience for this is going to be people who, yeah, okay, fresh eyes on it, who are just maybe sci-fi action fans, but also people who have long experience with sci-fi action movies and have seen a lot of stuff on alien worlds. It's tough to have stuff that either you haven't seen before, or you haven't seen quite like this before. And as Deck lands and then goes through the first couple of things he encounters, like you've said, that the vines, the chompy vines, whatever those were, the razor grass, the bone buffalo, I love the acidy salamanders. I thought they were great. The little exploding worm bombs. And again, what that requires is because there's a lengthy sequence before he stumbles across the synth, no dialogue. It's simply
Right.
him existing in this environment, and we have to get every emotion he's going through, every realization he's making, every contemplation he's having entirely through that actor's eyebrows. Because I saw something where it's like this was all practical, and then the mandibles are CGI'd in later at some point. So everything we need to know, he has to convey to us through his eyes, and he does an excellent job. And like you said, I think we need to talk about how good he is, and he carries this movie as the protagonist, as the lead, does a phenomenal job. And that entire sequence of showing us, here's all this stuff that will come back later, get a good understanding of what each of these tribulations are, because I'm gonna need them. I loved it. Great job.
Did you think that Bub was going to be an issue for the story? Because frankly, I'm going, are they really doing this? Because it felt a little,
That's where I was. I was like, do we need this? I don't need a weird monkey thing with big eyeballs. I didn't come to this for cute sidekicks. I don't need cute sidekicks. As the story went on, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm in.
It's the
yeah.
kind of thing where I was aware of what it was doing because it's a movie that's about family. That is the core idea about this movie. And given how our character is given the setup and given like the bond he quickly forms with Elfan, like just knowing how like movies work, I was like, and like between understanding like how narrative structure is supposed to like kind of go, and the fact that we're on a planet that kills, I'm like, well, there's not just going to be this random bub character that's like that's harmless. It's like, yeah, okay, this thing like has moves as well, and it's gonna become part of this unit, and that's gonna be the main theme here. It's like, okay, I don't need my crazy fanatical clan family. I have this new family, and I'm gonna, it's gonna work its way into that. And Deck's gonna, like, I like that the arc for like, as opposed to other heroic characters, Predator's arc is to become less of an asshole. Like
Yep.
that's just like,
Yeah.
like
Found
I'm
family, less of an
yeah,
asshole, and how
yeah.
to use your environment, how to exist within nature, as opposed. It almost feels very slightly anti-colonization again, which I
I
kind of
mean,
enjoy.
as much as like the Yautja clan is like that's an interesting thing to look at or whatnot. There's still like a warrior clan that goes out of their way to, sure, they hunt things and try to like play fair, but at the same time they still have like fantastical weaponry that will make
Yeah,
them pretty much better than anybody else out there, and they're proud about it. So it's like they're kind of the clan of assholes, at least
yeah,
this particular group of Yautja. And so it's like I like that this predator is like. I'm learning to be less of a jerk. I'm learning that I don't need all these fancy weapons to do what I need to do. All I
yeah.
need is a plucky robot and a little, I don't know, armadillo claw monster thing. I can make my way into the world on my own
And an
too.
acidy salamander.
Yeah. So, no, I think that also speaks to the rating of this film. This movie is notably PG-13 as opposed to being R-rated. It's only the second time the series has done that with AVP. Um, and I
Did you
know
mind to that? Did that
no,
bother you at all?
no, I'm not gonna. I'll say why right away. First off, even before seeing the movie, I'm like, well, yeah, because it's a planet of aliens. The MPA doesn't care about aliens. All they care about is
Exactly.
red human blood. So if there's no
Yeah,
humans in this
exactly.
movie, which there aren't any, if there's no
But there's
humans,
still
well,
people getting torn asunder, and there's
there's
a
And
significant
there's
and
level of violence.
synths and
I don't know
there's
if the Yautjas have a phrase that means motherfucker.
yeah, well, if they said it, they didn't subtitle it properly. But I mean, for here, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. We're not going to deal with like human being hunted and skinned alive and stuff, so it's all
Right.
creature violence. So sure. That said, watching the movie, it feels very apparent that the film was always intended to be PG-13. It wasn't like they just lucked out with the rating. It's like, no, the tone of this thing is very
Yeah.
friendly,
Yeah.
as far as anybody can like anybody, a a young audience that enjoys cartoons can watch this movie and like I mean Dan's a gamer, like he's a video gamer. You can
Yeah.
see that in this. You can see that in Prey also. You can see that in Killer of Killers. Like these are movies that are constructed off a person that knows how video games work as far as
You see the
up
levels in it.
levels, upgrades, boss
Yep.
fights, what have you.
Yep.
Like and that's not a detriment or me
No,
putting
I
down.
think it's a
That's
huge advantage.
it's an advantage when it comes to filmmakers that know how to use that logic in this kind of world. And
Yeah.
watching this movie, you can clearly see there's a video game logic to it as far as levels and upgrades and what have you. But even in terms of the kind of the tone, anyone can grab a controller and play is basically what I'm saying. Like this is the kind of
I
movie
did have a
where
moment where I was like, I wouldn't have made it past the first level. I wouldn't have defeated the tree vine thing. I would have been
Yeah,
like, ah,
they would have eaten your head, and that
yeah,
would have been the end of that movie.
yeah,
but the appeal is clearly trying to be for not just people that like this thing that already loved it, 30 years ago, but people that just want to see a cool sci-fi movie.
yeah.
And that means, yeah, make it PG-13. What's the loss there? Oh no, we didn't get to see decapitated heads being skinned or something. Like whatever. Like it's
I don't
about
need that.
robots
I've
and
never
aliens.
needed that.
Exactly. It's about seeing how cool the Predator can be,
Yeah.
and let alone put against a scenario where he doesn't have like what I like about the opening is you get the like even when he crash lands on this planet and he still has a lot of his he has his spears and his bombs and his
Hmm.
all this and that, and then he loses pretty much all of it. He's stuck
Yeah.
with just like a sword and like a little razor, maybe a shaving kit, I don't know, but like that's it. Like it's that's all he's got. And so it gives you this guy that has to push himself to be, better than he's ever been and what have you, already being the runt of the litter and all that. So it's a fun take as far as how to do that and what to do as far as not giving you the traditional like badass predator that murders everything, but instead has to think on his feet a little more.
Yeah. I think it shows in the casting as well. Like this is maybe not the smallest. It might be the smallest dude playing a predator we've seen in these movies, and it makes sense because we are told immediately he's the runt of the family, and he's
So is
also
this a was this a nod to an appreciation for Jean-Claude Van Damme?
no that footage. But the mobility of the character within the prosthetics. I think that's important because we haven't seen it in the franchise to this level
And
yet.
also like he looks good. Like
Looks
the
great.
the like as much as I appreciate AVP, the problem I have with AVP is like none of those guys are Kevin Peter Hall. Kevin Peter Hall, who played the original Predator, and for my money, him and John Cazale have the best batting average of all actors because they're both in four great movies and they passed away. But it's, he's such a big, imposing figure. But AVP, like, they're just these like little stunt guys, and you can tell, like, they're not nearly as tall as he was.
Yep.
And so this movie, because he's leaner, like it works for him. He doesn't look like a guy like stuffed in a suit. He just looks like a predator. He looks like it's
Yeah.
a guy that fits that world. That's
I
what I
would
liked
agree
about
that, yeah.
I like that about Prey too. Prey felt like a fucking bulldozer. Like he was a
Yes.
he was a guy who's like, I've done this a lot. Like
I think that that's a level of, and Richard, maybe when you get the opportunity to watch Killer of Killers, there are three very different, more
yeah.
than three, but very different Yautja in that, in different environments, and each is specifically suited to the environment that they're in. And I think that adds a level to the,
Yeah.
well, yeah, if these dudes are all about the hunt, oh, sorry, babe,
We
they're
did get a
going
little of
to,
that in Predators because
yes,
there were the two Yautja
Yeah,
that
there's
are
the
yes,
like
yes,
warring
distinct.
clans and stuff
Yeah.
yes,
like that. Like
yeah,
if there's
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of implication in the other Predator movies, these what Trachtenberg's doing, and I don't want to say subtly because it's not subtle, like it's obvious we're on their home world at this point, but like there is an effort to explore the clans without I don't know, without making it feel like homework or for fans only. You know, you're not
Yes,
sitting
yes,
there
yes.
being like, oh, let me study this so I make sure to know. Or you're also not like, these are only Easter eggs and they don't really apply to me because I don't care that much. No, it's like it's applied to the narrative in ways that feel organic to what we're being shown.
I will take visual exposition over dialogue exposition any day.
And that really helps. That really helps with Killer of Killers. Is like a lot of
Yeah.
those are they're not dialogue free, but they certainly don't emphasize the dialogue as like the main way to watch those
Minimal
movies.
dialogue, yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about this being a film that what family is the theme that's going on here. We haven't talked about one of the families that is really part of the story here, and we should probably spend a little bit of time with those since Elle Fanning is listed as one of the leads in the story, and
First
we've
build.
yeah
Yes.
we've
She shouldn't have
barely
been, but she is.
we've barely touched on her as a
She's
character.
great. I I had a moment in the movie where I forgot because I don't think this is a spoiler. We know that there's a group of synths on the planet. It's Elle Fanning and I forgive me, I don't know the name of the guy playing the others, but I love that there's two copies. There's two models rather. That thing in BSG of like there's there are however many models and there's many copies. Yeah, I love that, and I think in previous movies that have involved these Weyland-Yutani sensors, like, oh, well, this one looks this way and that one looks. No, listen, we're not wasting money. We sent two models to this planet, and there's a bunch of them, but they're only two models. I love that. I
To be
thought that was
fair, I mean
great.
the last time we dealt with him, it was like two Michael Fassbenders. I mean that they're
Yeah, God, yeah. So I really enjoyed that, and to Elle Fanning's credit, there's two copies of that one on this planet. There were definitely moments where I forgot they were both Elle Fanning, where it just felt to me like two different actresses. And that rarely happens when someone is playing multiple roles in a movie. The other time I could really remember it happening is watching Orphan Black, and there was a moment where if you ever watched Orphan Black, you should if you haven't. But like Allison had to go on vacation or went on a retreat, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe that actress has something else, or she needs. I was like, oh no, wait, it's still just Tatiana Maslany. It's just her every single time. And when you can have that moment of like, oh, that's the same person, it's so well done. She does a great job of distinguishing between the two.
I
Well,
agree
they're
with
both
it.
visual cues that do that, but I think there's also the tone of the two characters, which is very different. And maybe one of the areas that I want to get into when we get to the spoilers, because there is a question in my mind as to why such a thing could occur. But the fact that we have this what's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship that I guess breaks up or is divided, both literally and kind of mentally, is intriguing. But I felt a little in the first part of the film that we were just getting a not a prop, not a gimmick, but just
A
I did
translator
I
for the audience.
yeah, that's
Yep.
that's kind of it. That's kind of it. It works out. It gets better uh, when they arrive at their destination, where the original crash took place. I think things start making a little bit more sense as to what's going on, and the character of Tia becomes less just the annoying backpack and
The C-3PO of the movie.
yeah, there you go. And more of a character that is involved in the story. Um, I think we've gone as far as we need to go without having spoilers. So let me just mention to anybody who's listening and hasn't seen the movie yet and doesn't want anything to be revealed to them that they think might be important, that from this point on, we're going to be talking openly about a variety of subjects. So if you want to wait, come back and listen to the rest of the show after you've seen the movie. But as for us right now, we're going to consider all of the movie open territory for discussion. And I want to start with that issue. Tia and Tessa are supposed to be, like I said, counterparts to some degree. There is a discussion line at one point about why do you suppose they gave us emotions? And I think that that's the closest we come to understanding why they would have different reactions to what's going on, why there's a divergence in the way they perceive their mission here. And I thought that that was not clear enough for me to feel like it was anything other than a plot device. How did you
I
guys
think
feel
that's
about
fair.
that?
No, I think that's fair.
as to
The
why they're
explanation given is like so we can better understand the creatures on the planet and collect them.
Yeah, that's about as much of
what?
an
Sorry,
explanation as it gets.
what's the question again? Sorry,
Well,
as to why they're
Tia
different. But
develops empathy for both the creature and for the Yautja, and Tessa, of course, is indifferent to those things and is only focused on the mission and is much more robotic. And the question is, why is there a difference between the two of them and how their characters proceed in relationship to both the planet and the other animal?
hunt.
I don't want to say animals, but other
No, my thought is
creatures.
hunter gatherer is an experience. One's designed to be more of a hunter, one's designed to be more of a gatherer, just by default, because that's just a way to if you're going to explore a planet, that makes sense to me as far as the actions some would take. I mean, if you're like, well, for one thing, it's movie plotting. Yes,
Yes.
I could grant that. I could grant that immediately. But I could see a certain logic as far as one's designed to focus more on the kind of the gathering side of things, where one's more designed to be on the hunter side of things. I don't know how to weigh that in like robot logic as far as like why can't they just both do all the things? But as far as one's more determined to be aggressive for the sake of self-preservation on both of their parts, where the other's more focused on collection and research or what have you. I guess that's like the way I could justify it. Plus, one's just been out in the world more. One is
Yeah.
more experienced with what they've been dealing with to some degree. They've been stuck out. I mean, she's literally wrapped to a tree when they find her. She seems to have a deeper understanding of the world that she's been living in, where the other one's just like been out of commission for a while. I mean, I get the I don't find it to be necessarily a flaw, but I get the idea of bringing it up as far as like, does the movie support that logic? I think it does what it needs to kind of get
Yeah.
across something
If the
there.
one is going to execute the mission established to the letter, and the other has been out and abandoned, and so therefore can interpret the mission differently or find flaws in the mission for others.
Which I think the series as a whole, both Predator and Alien movies, more Alien because since it's Weyland Yutani, it's an Alien thing. That's been the case. Like you
Yeah.
get something like, I mean, granted, these are like the same model basically off the same assembly line, but you get something like an Ian Holm who is yes to the point, to the mission, to the
Hmm.
point of
Hmm.
like creepiness, and you get a Lance Henriksen who's more adaptable, right?
Yeah.
He seems more human. Or yes, you get the Michael Fassbenders, one that's very much evolved and very much has a an interest in like actually exploring where life comes from, who the real master is, all this stuff, who's my creator, where another one is more pragmatic. And like there
Or the one in Romulus, where it's like, no, this is your mission, and
same
he's
with
like, but I
Romulus,
would
yes.
like to adapt my mission, and then like, oh no, we're going to reprogram you. So there's a
Romulus,
lot of
yeah.
layers to
Romulus is
it.
fat. Like I mean, I love that performance. Romulus
Yeah.
is like, yeah, what this one is not upgraded, therefore hasn't had the chance to be more
Hmm.
incorporated into the company until it does get the upgrades, and it's like, well, now I have less humanity about me.
Yeah.
Like there's interesting messaging going on, which, that goes back to any number of, like, I don't know, Philip K. Dick stories or what have, or Asimov, or any number of things as far as how we interpret our robots. And this movie doesn't need to do that, and yet it's
Ex
still
Machina.
trying to. Like, it's still hinting at that, I suppose, with having two
Yeah.
different elf annings coming at you.
I've always wanted, and this is forgive me if I've said this before, but my ideal AVP movie would be one in which there are no humans and there's no dialogue and we don't have the translation and it's entirely visual. I don't think anyone's ballsy enough to do that, and if they did, it would be maybe Trachtenberg combining with Holly and it would be animated. But
I
I think that would
guarantee
be
there's a
so
version of
interesting.
this. There's a version of this movie that was that at some
Yeah.
early stage before they're like, well, obviously we want to make money. We can't like,
Right.
like I
Yeah, I
guarantee
just
that at
think
some point, at
yeah.
some because like I know like Tractor he has like he's had like three ideas for Predator movies. One was Prey, one was this, and one's whatever's next that he has,
Yeah.
which is not an Alien movie, but it is like it's a Predator thing. He still has an idea for. I
Yeah.
guarantee like the earliest version of Badlands was exactly what you just said. Was just
Yeah.
a what if we just made our hero the predator and
Yep.
he's in the world and there's no dialogue, maybe
Yep.
a robot or something or whatever, but like we just
Yeah.
there's nothing except the
Give me
environment.
visual storytelling and a really incredible performance by your lead, and I'm there. And
But the
so
second you take that to a studio, they're like, we're not going to give you $100 million to make this movie.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get there. And because Killer of Killers was so good, maybe we can have an animated version of that. But well, in any case, I think that Richard, you bringing up is this character exclusively a translator for the audience? And when she first pops in, and yes, he's exploring the planet, sort of
Yeah.
basically trying to avoid being killed by everything and doing okay. And when she shows up and begins to translate, and she explains, like a universal translator, you'll hear whatever language you're fine. Great, I'm on board. We've seen that in plenty of other sci-fi things. At first, I was like, do we need this? Is this ruining it for me? Do I really need her there? She is providing a lot of exposition. But then when the shift happens, and I think the shift is we know he's there to hunt the Basilisk, like basilisk, but with a
Yeah.
K, which is this apex predator that even his father is afraid of. So of course he's going after it. And she tells him, when he finds her strapped to that tree, and like, oh yeah, other Yautja have come here, and none have been able to kill it. We are presented the Basilisk as the main antagonist slash goal, but the shift and her purpose in being there of, oh no, it's the Weyland Yutani mission and Synths who are the true antagonist, and that shift of what we come to learn about the Basilisk and how that plays in, that I wasn't prepared for, and I thought it was great, and I really enjoyed it.
Was there another twist that you thought was that we kept from
Yeah.
speaking about that you wanted to mention?
It'll come back to me as
Yeah, what twists are we? Because I don't.
maybe
It's
twist,
a
like I
pretty
said, twist
straightforward
might be
movie
the
to me.
wrong, but
But
things
fair,
I
yeah.
wasn't things I wasn't expecting, and the twist of the Kasilic not being the main deal, like not being the main plot point once we shifted away from that.
Fair enough. I don't want to say spoiled, but like just knowing that there was another, evil elf fanning out there is like, okay, so this is gonna be like
Yeah.
where this
That's
movie
it.
goes. Like
I don't think I expected that, and that's presented fairly early on, and I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I did see that coming. I like it. I'm here for it.
not
And I
a
think because I wrote off Bud as like a cute roly sidekick with armor plating, whatever, the twist of Bud being Mini Casillas, I didn't see coming and really appreciated. Again, nothing in this movie goes to waste. And so that character could have just been a throwaway cutesy nonsense thing. The mimicking him by the fire, which I was like, you know what? All right, I enjoy this. It's silly. I'm here for it.
I like this Jaws reference.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's what I was thinking about when I saw that scene. This is
I was like,
fun. It's
I
very
enjoy
cute.
this. This is fine. I'm happy with it.
I get like at that point I was like so settled with I don't keep going back to the rating of it all, but I do think ratings I have opinions on the MPA and how they do things or whatnot, but I can understand a movie by what it's rated as far as like tonally what it's doing, intensity, like that kind of stuff. You get a certain so like by that point I was pretty settled with okay, I see the tone of this movie. I get where
Mhm.
we're at now, so having a character like Bub makes sense to me. Um Bud. Bub's from Day of the
But
Dead,
yeah.
which I just talked about. But, the not a twist, but as far as like things I didn't see coming go, Legs action sequence. That's what I'm talking about here. Look at this.
And,
Well,
and,
it's like-
and when it started, I was like, wait, is this too before I even got that thought finished, I was like, no, I'm in on this. This is
Yes.
fantastic, and I love it.
This is just creative action all the way. Legs action? Yes, I'm all
Yeah.
for this.
Her legs kick ass all by themselves. And
I
then,
hope
like, the high five at the end. I
They
was like, you
probably
know
had
what?
to pay
Yeah,
half as much as they paid Scarlett
absolutely.
Johansson for playing Black Widow.
if we if
It was
we
great.
if we get like a follow-up movie that involves this group again, I hope Elle Fanning made her I hope her character made her legs like detachable so she could always
Detachable.
do that. Yeah, so it's not just like she's singed back on her body. She's
It
like,
was,
yeah.
oh my goodness. It was fun, but really fit. I didn't question it. I was like, hilarious. Really good.
As far as favorite like thing killing me on this planet goes, razor grass really got me. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, that worm blows up, or that buffalo's head explodes into two pieces. But grass, I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that at all. That's terrible.
You just striding along, and the next thing you know, you look down and your legs are shredded. That would not
Yeah,
be
and
cool.
razor
Yeah.
grass.
It
No,
was
thank you.
horrifying. Yeah. And then him using it, and that's what I loved. Nothing was wasted. To the point where as soon as he like picks up the glowy bug and you see it start to pulse and he looks at it and throws it and it blows up and the look on his face is like, huh,
Huh. Yeah.
huh.
Useful.
Huh.
Yes.
Let me store that bit
Fantastic.
of knowledge up here for use
Yep.
later on.
And then the use of it later was excellent. I thought that was fun. Loved it. I love and again, not twist, but unexpected for me, bonding with the Casillas. And the regenerative properties of the Casillas. I was not prepared for because he handled it when he first encountered that. I was like, wow, good for Dak. What's going to happen the rest of this movie? I feel like we're done. And then it simply reattaches its head. And I was like, oh, I see. This thing is definitely more of a foe than I thought it was.
There was some cool like moments of Predator getting like his victories with that sword, like when he cuts the one in half, or like when he cuts that, and just like not just like yes, it's like his head just came off that, but like just his I don't know, the look of the action's very cool, I guess. Like there's something there where he's this, he's supposed to be puny or whatever, but when he gets his wins, it just feels like they're earned in a way
Yeah.
where in the other Predator movies like it's a badass, that's a whole deal. It's a warrior or whatnot. Like so it's like it's interesting in different kinds of ways. This movie you feel like he's really earning it because for one thing
Yeah.
he's the protagonist, so you're voting against him winning in the other movies. This one you're like I need him to win.
Yeah.
But like when he does win, you're like good for you, man. Like it just feels like there's success there.
Yay, Dak, yay.
High five, legs.
Yeah, to the point where yes, and then when he gets his moment where he's fully ingratiated into the Casillas clan, and like the mother has accepted him, and then when she explodes from the inside, and you're like, oh no, it just I found myself 100% along for the ride without any pauses, and I appreciated that.
All right. Well, let's talk about the resolution in the last clan that they deal with, because that is, of course, potential sequel territory, although I'm not sure that that's what Trachtenberg's got up his sleeve for the next film, although it sure leaves you thinking that's what's going on. Mother showing up and having to deal with daddy issues there at the
I
end.
If you had
I've always
seen, I'll
go
just note
ahead.
if you had seen Killer of Killers, you might have had a different impression of what was coming. Like
Okay.
watching this, and I'm thinking, okay, something's happening, and I'm like, is this gonna connect to that animated film that came out? Because it's all canon
Is this
technically.
the guy with the cloak full of spines, the spine
Yeah,
cloak?
there's it just when you watch it, you'll understand what we're talking about. But like,
Okay.
there's more Yautja stuff going on that doesn't end at the end of Killer of Killers. It kind of just opens up the world to be like, oh, this is an interesting direction we could be going. And I thought there was going to more directly connect with where we went with this. Now, would that make it a lesser or smaller movie or like more geared towards just the nerds that like enjoy this? Yes, and that wouldn't be great, I would say. But
Yeah.
like I was curious, like where's this going? What's the next step for Badlands? Like, oh, that's fun. The mother, who's even more badass apparently, which makes sense.
I having never, and I know that female Yautja have shown up in both the comics and I think games. Again, having no experience with those. I've always had this impression in the back of my mind based on what we've seen of the Predators or the Yautja throughout movies. We've only seen on-screen males. And just the assumption of, I bet the females are number 1, bigger, number 2, stronger, number 3, smarter. I feel like that's been subtly implied, or at least maybe I'm interpreting that because that's what I wanted. And so the realization, the final line of this movie, when he gets back and he handles his father, justifiably so, or Bud handles his father, and the ship approaching, and he just goes, "No, it's my mother." And you're letting your imagination take it to the next level of what that could mean. There's so many species where the female is bigger, stronger, more deadly. I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, that's nature. Like, look
yes.
at, I don't know, praying mantis, black widow, like any number of things. Like the female is always exactly all the things you just said. There's not like, and with the Yautja culture, my assumption would be that it's the brains behind the operation, the female. They're the ones that are making all the. So let's get all our pawns in place. They'll go through their predator bar mitzvah and do what they need to do. But let's the real strategy is coming from the women.
Predator bar mitzvah. I'm going to use that phrase someplace in
I've been saying that's its AVP. So that's the plot of that movie. It's their bar mitzvah. Like, that's what they have to go to. They have to go to Earth and defeat an alien and become a man. That's how I did it. That's
Rumspringer.
Rumspringer. Yeah.
I mean, same deal.
Yeah, that's what I did though. Yeah, I studied my Torah portion, then I killed a xenomorph. It was great. And then I had a James Bond themed reception. It was wonderful.
Perfect. Could not ask for more.
All right. Well, just any final thoughts you have before we close out this discussion of Predator Badlands?
I want more people to know you can make a tight, small movie that looks great, where nothing is wasted, that honors the IP but introduces new things. It's possible. It's possible. Stop telling me it isn't, and just hire people who know what they're doing, who appreciate the stuff and aren't just surface level fans. Anyway, I loved it.
I had a great time. I am happy that it's the success that it is, and I think that comes from the goodwill that Trachtenberg has built up for this series. We went from the Shane Black one, which was a flop and didn't do well critically, to getting a Prey that won Emmys and has awards and is a streaming hit, to getting Killer of Killers, was also like critically. I mean, it's a smaller scale thing, but it was Prey. It has its good reviews, and now we have this, which again, well reviewed. We're recording this on Sunday after it came out. It made 40 million. It was projected to make 25. I think that purely comes from the fact that people are like, we like the past versions of this that we saw, so we want to go see this movie. We haven't seen one of these in theaters for a while. Let's actually go this time. And they did. I could have easily seen this, not necessarily flopping, but doing those projections, which were low. They were, you want the best for movies you like. Yeah, exactly. And this movie exceeded those expectations. That makes me happy for Dan. It makes me happy for everybody involved in this, because they did a damn good job. So
absolutely.
If we get, and that means we also get more Predator movies, which I'm also happy about.
I'm here for it.
It's a win.
Yes.
Yeah, in hindsight, it felt a little bit like The Predator might be the end of the whole thing, because it was just such a dumpster fire.
There's one good sequence in that, and it's the Jake Busey one.
Well, yeah, there's stuff in there I think is fun. And I know because the studio got like all kinds of involved with it too, and I'm like, I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess of a movie.
Such a mess. Predators, though, that's worth rewatching. If you haven't
Predators
seen
rocks. That's always rock.
I really like that one.
That was a symbol where Rodriguez was like, well, we just had like a predator drop like a bunch of humans in a world and do a thing, like
and hunt them there. Great.
Fun cast.
Well, I'm looking forward to treading all these paths that I haven't been down, and of course, rewalking some of those paths. Predators is one that's going to be on my list for the next week or so.
Lawrence Fishburne being crazy.
Yes.
Whispering.
That's it. All right, we're going to take a quick break here to hear from a fellow Lamb Podcasting Network show, and then we'll be back for our exit question of the week.
You are about to witness history in the making.
Hi there, this is Todd from Forgotten Films, and if you spend all your time watching new releases, then you need to broaden your movie horizons. And a great way to do that is by joining me for the Forgotten Filmcast. We don't talk about the new releases, we don't even talk about the classics. We talk about the movies that time forgot. On each episode, I'm joined by another film blogger to discuss a film that may or may not be worth rediscovering. So look for the Forgotten Filmcast on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts.
We're back, and as an exit question this week, since we're getting both a sequel this week and a reboot next week of an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, I thought maybe we'd talk about some previous Schwarzenegger vehicles and what potential there is for either following up or changing them. So what other Arnold vehicle do you think would be right for following up on, and did you have a suggestion as to how it should be developed? And Aaron, I know that you've got a very active imagination, so I'm sure that you've got something in mind that's going to immediately be pitched to a studio and they're going to go for.
Well, obviously, kindergarten principal. He's the
That's
principal now.
Yes.
He's running the
Principal
school.
cop.
It's you can do Terminator again. That one never really popped, right? That is kind of like one and done. No, there's I honestly I'm seeing Running Man tomorrow. I can't wait. Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors, so I'm like, yes, give me this now. That is one where I would have been like, we could probably do another version of Running Man, but they're doing it now. So it's like that takes that one out of the equation. It's what's the question? Is it reboot or just
You could reboot it. You could follow up on it. Hey, if you wanted to do a sequel, a legacy sequel, that'd be okay. Just
I guess
there's a whole bunch of vehicles that he was in.
Still waiting on the twins part, triplets with Eddie Murphy.
With Eddie
You can
Murphy,
still do that.
been hearing that
still do
for
it.
decades. I guess if there's one that I could genuinely like think would happen. There was a point where it was going to happen, then 9/11 made it difficult. But True Lies 2, like a sequel to True Lies, where you have Harry and you have Jamie Lee Curtis, like she's full on in spy mode, and they're a couple, and they actually go on a mission together and do all this stuff. Like that would be legit fun. That's never going to happen now because yes, the way terrorism changed in the world of James Cameron worlds, and the fact that James Cameron now lives on Pandora, it makes it a little more difficult. And it's been a minute, so they're not exactly in the same shape that they were back in 1994. But if this was like 2000s, I would have loved to welcome it, and a True Lies 2 that would have had them just in both as full spies and still have that kind of fun and have the. What I love about True Lies is it's a movie that feels so throwaway. Like it's really well done. It's accomplished. It's great. It's so much fun to watch. But it does feel like James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger are like, you got a free weekend? Yeah, all right. And they just made this like spoof of spy movies that like is like the best action movie you can like watch because James Cameron's like, yeah, I got a few days. I can do this.
Yeah.
Just kind of threw it out there. Like the fact that like you would call that one of his worst films is saying something about James Cameron, where it's like the movie's super fun.
That movie's great. I think
So-
that my answer is looking at this question. I was like, what if we had to hand one of these over to? And I think where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets underrated because he built his name as an action movie star in the 80s. And those action movies in the 80s are very straightforward and quite frankly dumb. And that's why we enjoyed them. But he is underrated as a comedic actor. And I think that he really delivered when the material suited his comedic stylings. I think True Lies is written by or presented by Cameron exactly for him where he skilled the best, and it is an exceptional action comedy. And I think that really good action comedies are few and far between, and it's a genre that I love. I am very curious to see what happens with Playdate, I think is the name of the movie that's coming out on the 12th, so next week, with
Kevin James and
that's
Reacher.
right, Richson. It's I think that Richson, his comedic acting skills really belie the muscular nature of his physical existence. And I think he could be a perfect vehicle for some of these type of movies. If you're going to remake Kindergarten Cop, which quite frankly, I think they could. Again, perfectly suited Arnold, delivered on that. That movie is ridiculous. It shouldn't work, and yet it does. And it does because of Schwarzenegger and the way he can handle that type of action comedy. The action sequences in that movie are still great, and the threat is real. Like if you go back and watch that bad guy is scary.
No doubt. I love Kindergarten Cop. I think Kindergarten's a legit, really solid movie.
Yes.
It's more than just
I don't think
not
it
a
needs to be
tumor.
remade, but if you were going to, I think Richson is capable of it. I think he is someone who could pull off that type of comedy. And I think he's capable of it. I think John Cena is capable of it. I think Jason Momoa is capable of it. I think Michael James Shaw is capable of it. If you haven't watched Twisted Metal, I loved it. I'm not gonna recommend it for everybody, but
Twisted Metal's fun. That's a fun. The
I
second season really
loved it. I think
goes up
Michael
the
James
ante.
Shaw is another dude who's like, am I getting his name right? I'm pretty sure. Yes, Michael
You
James
are,
Shaw.
yeah, you are. Yeah.
Gigantic. His frame belies what I think is some serious action comedy talent. I'd like to see him. I'd like action comedies to come back to being like, let's try these, but let's make them legitimate and let's make them action movies with comedic moments. Let's stop trying to make comedies that have action. Let's focus on the action and then have some genuinely funny pieces in them. I think there's a lot of Schwarzenegger movies that fit that bill, and if you're going to delve into that. So that's how I interpreted this question. Like, if you're going to remake or reboot or at least stick in that genre, those are the 4 dudes I would like to see making movies like this. For sure, Alan Richardson. I think he could nail it. John Cena, we know is already. That him with him and Idris Elba, Heads of State. Good, not great, but the bones of that are there for I want to see what's next. Like, give me another one of those. Momoa is yes, and Michael James Shaw would be the other one. I want to see him in this.
Did you see
genre.
the Momoa Conan?
I did.
And how was that?
That's bad. That's before he realized his deal. Like that.
It's
That was him.
before Momoa was playing Momoa.
Yeah,
He's
someone-
best when you let him Momoa. Aquaman 2 is he's not even playing Arthur Curry anymore. It's just Momoa running around in some fantastical sequences, and quite honestly, that's what I want.
How can I have
with that movie.
Momoa if I haven't had any yet?
Conan was like right after like he got killed on Game of Thrones, because that's not a spoiler. He dies in the first season, but like people saw Momoa and is like, okay, let's put this guy in an action movie, and they did.
Yeah, look
and it's
at
like,
this dude. Let's put him in this.
it's similar to like John Cena in The Marine before John Cena figured out John Cena. Like those guys,
exactly.
like they figured out their deal, their personality, and like what works, which is honestly, yes, very much.
These guys are comedic actors.
Colorful character, because
Yeah.
I mean, they got wrestling backgrounds. That's what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to be.
They're comedic actors in action star bodies. Let's give them what fits the best. And quite frankly, give me the spinoff. Give me the Hobbs versus Shaw, where it's just Cena and Momoa's characters. Give me that. I want. Yes, in fact, put the 2 of them in a buddy cop movie.
There's a reason why you get so many of action guy has to be a babysitter kind of movies, because it's like that's an inherent vehicle for comic hijinks. Not all of them are good, but that is why you do that, because you want to stress like, hey, these guys are family friendly. Anybody can enjoy these guys, and they get to show off more than just punching something. They can yell at a child.
Yeah.
It's fun.
There's a very conscious reason I didn't include Dave Bautista in that. Dave Bautista, someone keep handing that dude dramas or rom-coms or rom-drams. That dude has a different path, and he knows it, and Denis Villeneuve knows it.
Well, two things. One, he is in My Spy, which is good.
My Spy is great. It's great.
I'm saying, so he's done the thing. He's done the give me a kid, let's have a kid comedy thing. My Spy 2, not good. But he's also, like you're saying, he's a legit good actor. Batista's the one where years from now you're going to see him direct something and it's going to be great, and you'll be like, well, yeah, look at all the people he chose to work with early on.
Can I pitch you this? Can you take it and give it to him? I need to see Dave Bautista in a movie where he's like a gym owner in Florida, which is basically what he is, but his wife dies, cancer, something else, and he, in order to get back on his feet, has to go trace his roots back to the Philippines. Connect with his family, learn to love himself again, learn that it's okay to love again, find someone, meet someone, have a meet cute, come back to Florida rejuvenated, and rom-dram with comedic moments. That man will excel at that if someone can write that for him. He has the. Jadelle James has been saying for a long time, give me a rom-com with Dave Bautista. Give her that, or give her one with John Cena. Someone do this. Put it out there.
Well, I like the creativity of all these answers. That's a lot of fun.
Everything you just described about this Philippines drama, I love. I want to see this right now. I'm so into this.
I mean, he'd be amazing in that, and it would. Couldn't you just see like them taking a small movie, but take that to the festival circuit, have a slow burn on it? Like, come on, Dave.
Well, the world has changed so much over the years that I don't think that it would work as well as I would hope, but I'm still thinking that Schwarzenegger could come back and do King Conan.
I don't see why that couldn't work. He's on board for a lot of these. He's been. I don't want to say harassing Trachtenberg. I feel like they have a business professional relationship, but I feel like Arnold is like, so hey, I like what you're doing.
Let me sign on. But outside of Terminator, which is just like that's money. Like he's a good enough businessman where he knows like if I do a thing in a Terminator movie, that's going to be international bucks. I'm going to make a good chunk of change. I can buy more donkeys for my farm or whatever. The
Those
thing
donkeys are cute.
the thing with or it's alpacas. That's what he has. He's alpacas, right? He has all of the things. He has a lot
The
of
donkeys
animals.
in the
He
house.
has a
I think
whole
the
like
alpacas are
compound of
yes.
You
things.
got a house donkey.
But
House
like
donkey.
he's very careful about his franchise stuff. He doesn't
Yes.
do a he very much is like show me a script. If I like it, I'll or we could have had three twins by now if we wanted to. We don't. Like if we wanted triplets, they could have shoved out a triplets at us.
They could have, yeah.
He's pretty wise about which two things. Like look at his sequels. He doesn't have a lot of like
That's true.
things that he's really capitalized on from the first time around. There's sequels to his movies or remakes of his movies, but not like he didn't go back to Recall. he didn't. He didn't Running Man again. He didn't erase twice.
Oh wow, I forgot about Eraser.
So like if
Liquid Paper was the follow-up on that one.
if he want like because they give him Predator all the time. Every Predator, Predator 2, they're like, you could be the Gary Busey character. Obviously
Yep.
the same person, Gary
Could've.
Busey and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he's like, no, I don't want to do that. He could have come back for Predators and be the Lawrence Fishburne character. They definitely offered him that. He said, no, I don't want to do that. If he wants to do a Predator movie, he'll do one. It's just they got to show him a script that he really, really likes. So he's that Arnold. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing out there.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I've always loved him when they let him be funny. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think
no, and the thing I like making note of is Stallone thinks he's funny. Arnold knows how to be funny. Those are the differences.
Mhm.
And Stallone is, while he has been funny in movies, when he tries to be funny, it's usually a
It
disaster.
doesn't. Yeah, it
It's
just feels
usually a
awkward.
disaster. When the movies cater to his strengths, they can make him funny.
Yeah.
But like him trying to be funny, no. Arnold just is naturally knows what he's
Yes.
doing. He has the
Yes.
instincts, just like a lot of these wrestlers that you're mentioning. Like they
Yes.
just kind of, it's part of their DNA. They're not like trying to do. And there are times when Arnold's tried to be funny, and yeah, it doesn't work as well. But he has good comedic instincts. That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, I like all those answers. I hope to see some of those movies. It's never going to happen, but we can dream. I want to give you guys a chance this week to share anything that you think your audiences might like to know about.
All right, now Jeanette and I are ready to do this Arnold conversation for another 45 minutes.
Honestly, yeah. And I'd like to keep pitching, Dave Bautista dramas that someone can make. I don't have anything to plug. You can, my website is currently under construction. How about that? But you can visit the site for my belly dance troupe, or if you find me on YouTube, I'm posting more videos of the dance troupe if you want to see what we do. So,
By the
there
way,
you go.
your video, there's a video clip of your dance in the illustrated podcast last week.
Hey, now we're talking.
So we got that those swords in the dark.
It was so dark. It was so. And can I point out that video? Did you see the giant U-Haul truck?
Yes.
There's no light on us, but my God, that U-Haul truck is
You were
lit
backlit by the U-Haul
beautifully.
truck. That was great.
Beautifully. I tell you, it's fine.
Aaron, I know you've got a post or two up on this film and others, so what do you got?
Well, yeah, I obviously have reviews, and I'll have an out now episode talking all about this movie. But the main thing I want to say, I believe before the last time I was on this episode was our Halloween show, right? Which was the week before Halloween happened. If I'm not mistaken, on that episode, I explained that the podcast I co-host, Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla, was nominated for a podcast award, and then the award ceremony would be the day after we recorded that episode. So the day after we recorded that episode, Terrence and I won a podcast award for Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla.
Phenomenal.
So now we are an award.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're now an award-winning podcast. So if you want to hear all about Godzilla, you can do so by listening to the show Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla, the award-winning podcast where my friend and fellow film critic Terrence Johnson and I talk about all the Godzilla films in chronological order. We've been having a lot of fun doing it. Clearly, others seem to enjoy what we're doing as well now because we have an award that we could literally have bragging rights to go with it, it was so exciting and so much fun. But regardless, I mean, we're not doing it for awards. We're doing it because we just want to really have fun doing the show, and we are. So that's available there, along with my other podcast, Out Now There Today, that I co-host with my friend Abe. And everything I do can be found on my personal Substack page, thecodazeek.substack.com, and I'm on all the socials at Aaron's PS4.
Yeah, and I'll mention that those pictures of you in your formal attire and your partner did make it into the illustrated podcast as well. So
Oh, good.
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
It was
Appreciate
very
that.
good. And I'm still struggling to catch up on all of the stuff that I've seen in movie theater. We had John Carpenter Festival hosted by Robert Rodriguez the other night. We saw
Ooh,
Halloween and The Fog, and I will get a post up on that. I did record the
Cool.
introduction that Rodriguez did for The Fog, so I want to make sure to include that in the post. It's just getting around to everything and taking care of it the way I want to. It's been a little bit slow, but and let me remind everybody that this podcast will be illustrated. So when you're listening on your podcast catcher, whatever it happens to be, don't forget to maybe check it out on YouTube as well, because we have lots of fun there. And if I ever get, if somebody ever gets the best of me in the audio part of the podcast, I usually rectify that in the video part of the podcast. So I can think of that smart ass comment 3 days later and insert it just when I need
perfect.
to.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you both again for joining me here on a Sunday to talk about this terrific movie that was very entertaining, and I think our conversation was great. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you all soon.
You've been listening to the Lambcast. If you have an idea for a show or would like to join us on the Lambcast, contact us at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Find us on Facebook, just search for Lambcast, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Lambcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. The Lamb site can be found at largeassmovieblogs.com. We'd also love it if you would leave a review on iTunes.
Ha 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 ha